Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 19 of the Oblivion Oath. I'd like to thank you all for tuning in to watch us this week. And before we get started, I just have an announcement or two. I think I've got, hero points. Professor, are you full up?
No.
Well, that's good, because Frazzle Running has gifted you a hero point, so I'm going to go ahead and give that out.
Thank you, Twitch.
I also want to go ahead and give a shout-out of thanks to Tymon, who gave me a villain point back, so I'm back up to full.
Boo.
It's really important that I'm back to full. Love you guys. You're evil. All right. So I figured we would get that out of the way. I also want to note that next week's episode will air on Thursday at noon, but it will be a pre-recorded episode. Our Twitch Magister, Peyton, is out of the office for TwitchCon next week. So to make that work, we're going to pre-record an episode, but it's going to air next Thursday at noon. And instead of seeing us live, you'll see us in chat with all of you, or at least some of us. We'll figure it out. So just a heads up on that next week. So I think that about covers all of my announcements. So when we last left our intrepid band of adventurers, it seemed like months that you had been stranded in Ras Maran. Months since the sleepy sea cat went under the waves, tossing you onto the shore. In fact, it was months in real time, but in the game, it was actually only weeks. As you tried to escape the wretched country filled with its cult of devoted priests, you fled across the countryside, making stops along the way, meeting new friends, losing trusted allies. But eventually you found yourself on the border, staring out at the river, the West Selen River, looking out across the river to the river kingdoms, to the river kingdom of Timon. However, your way was blocked. There, standing on the shores of the river, was the Herald of Rasmir, Vokar, and he was quite intent upon making sure that you did not escape his clutches. And he brought friends with him as well. There were many of his priests were there at the border with him and waiting for you at the docks. Suffice to say, things got a bit messy. Blades were drawn. The Herald of Rasmir called out to his deity, inspiring his allies and intimidating all of you. But you quickly made a quick work of his fellow cultists, cutting them down in short order and leaving you only with Vokar to fight. He proved to be a terrifying foe. His flail was a deadly weapon, dealing horrendous wounds to any that he dared to strike. However, in the end, you were victorious. You managed to defeat Vokar. He looked like he was about to try and make an escape or make a run for it, but such was not to be. You cut him down and promptly looted him quickly before getting on the barge, paying off some of the locals to pretend like they never saw this, and getting on the barge that was set to cross the river. There, on that barge that apparently ferries folk across the West Selen, which is a wide river at this point. It's over a half-mile wide. The barge captain, a man by the name of Harlan, was a little concerned about taking you on board, but it seemed like this wasn't the first time he'd seen a battle at the dock to escape Ras Maran, and was still happy to bring you across. It was there on the West Selen River as you were sailing across that he mentioned something terrible to you. He said, yes, well, so many people have been trying to get out, fleeing, some heading south, some heading further east. Everyone's getting out, or at least lots of folk are. They're uncertain as to what's about to happen next. And you asked what's going on. He mentioned that Lastwall had fallen, and that the Whispering Tyrant had escaped. And that's where we left off, was that exact moment. So we'll pick up right there.
And nobody heard any disembodied voices in their heads telling them to do things at all. I'd
Definitely
just like to point that out.
Yeah, there is that. During the battle, the key called out to you.
Nope, that never happened.
Spoke to you in a sinister voice, and you reached out for that power, and it sapped some of the life out of Vokar and transferred it to you. And then when you looked back down on the key, it wasn't as dingy and dusty and dirty anymore. It looked a little cleaner.
Still looks pretty dirty.
Yeah,
in
no,
real
it
life.
does. Yeah.
Self-cleaning.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. That's
Great.
nice.
We'll just gloss over that.
Sure, yeah. Why pay attention to that? That's not important, clearly.
No.
All right. So we'll pick up right there. You're on a barge. That barge is slowly making its way across the West Selen River. You have now left Ras Maran behind.
Finally.
Yeah. I think Carina's going to say, what do you mean the last wall has fallen?
The barge captain, Harlan, looks at you and goes, yes, you must have been in Ras Maran. News doesn't spread there very well. We received word that it's all over town that the last wall had fallen. Vigil has been destroyed.
What do you mean destroyed? Like,
He shrugs. I don't know all the details, but word has spread that some sort of magical catastrophe happened.
That's
The
where
town
you're
was
from,
leveled.
right?
yeah, that is where Carina is from.
He
so-
looks at you and suddenly goes wide-eyed, and he's like, "Oh, I'm terribly sorry. You didn't still have family there, did you?"
Yeah, pretty much everybody is there. Was there? Is there?
He looks at you and says, "I'm terribly sorry to be the bearer of such horrible news.
Oh, no.
Maybe they got out."
I mean, I did, so...
Do you know if there are any refugees and where they might be fleeing to?
He kind of shrugs. Word is that it's all chaos. I really don't know. I've just heard rumor and hearsay. I even heard that the few scant knights in town in Tymon are packing up to leave.
Oh. Well, we'll have to maybe perhaps have a chat with them.
Yeah.
See if they know anything about your family.
Or this key.
Oh, yes, indeed, yes. Your other pressing problem. But
Zelda
The
that
barge
is-
captain kind of looks at you funny when you say that and just kind of shrugs and is like, "Yes, well, it's all quite terrible. The folk in town, it's all the news, and there are some that are afraid that with the Whispering Tyrant free, none of us are safe."
Whoa,
Yeah,
what?
that seems bad.
What do you mean Whispering Tyrant is free?
Rumor has it that Gallows Spire collapsed. His prison, it's gone. That's what I heard. I have to be honest. I'm just a barge captain. I've just heard news on the docks from travelers. Word like this spreads quickly.
Yes, but sometimes such words are exaggerations. Talk of a frightened populace. We must not discount it, of course,
Right.
but we might not get overduly worried.
That's a good point.
It's not like we're going back to check, so.
Yes, we'll get more news in
Yes,
time.
definitely not like we're going to go back to check.
The captain goes, "You couldn't pay me all the gold in Avestan to send me back there. Not if the tyrant's out." Ooh, he just kind of shrugs. The dead walking. Ooh, how horrible.
Seems like a problem that's
Yes.
going to spread out if it's true, though.
Yeah, well, we should see if we can confirm those rumors. And
In the meantime, some of you are
Yeah,
still a
Zell
bit
is
wounded.
messed up.
Yeah, I'm
Whatnot.
very hurt
We'll
still.
bandage ourselves up. I'll hand out some potions.
The journey across the West Selen takes about half an hour. It's just a barge that gets like paddled across. It doesn't have like sails or anything like that because it's just going back and forth across the river. So it's a slow journey.
Sure.
So you have plenty of time to bandage up wounds and kind of see to your maladies.
Should we do the rolls for that? For
No,
medicine checks all
I'm
that?
not too worried about it right
Do we
now.
go back to full then? Great.
Yeah, well, actually, just give me a medicine check.
Sure,
I mean, if you
yeah.
have assurance, you don't even need to make it.
No, I don't, but I have the alchemist, chirurgeon. I get to use my crafting, so I got an 18 total.
Okay, yeah.
how far were people down?
I was down to 2 left.
Yeah.
3 left.
Oh, that is quite
great.
significant.
Yeah, we were all very
Okay.
wounded.
Well, I wasn't.
So-
Oh, you
Pushes
guys,
his-
you managed to get out fairly unscathed.
Yeah, I had like 27.
Oh, nice.
I think,
Oh,
so.
nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Usually I make it through being pretty
Yeah.
okay.
Well, I'm
but-
just trying to figure out. So if it's about a half an hour, I've got like 3 basically 3 heals that I can give out if I'm praying.
Oh, great.
Which I think she's going to spend quite a bit of time praying to Pharasma. And
Seems like a good time.
yeah, praying that her family got out and asking Pharasma to help and all that kind of stuff. So I can do like 18 points of healing in 30 minutes. So
Okay. That brings me to, well, I guess if we're
how do we want to
up,
spread it
yeah.
around? And what's the healing?
I
each
did
take
a
9.
medicine check. So, what do you
So
want?
medicine
Whatever.
is what, 2d6?
Yeah.
We'll
something like
each
that.
take 9. Right?
The two
Can
of
we
you?
do that? Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
one has to take 12 and
Yeah.
one has to take
You
6.
take 12.
That's how it works.
Right.
Yeah.
I figured there's some
It's
math.
6 per thing.
I'll take 6.
Okay.
Ugh,
Sounds good.
makes me feel a little better.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'll just stay where I was then. I'll heal later.
Yeah, there's also time to make a medicine check on everybody, so you can always
Right.
get back 2d6 that way.
Oh, sweet.
Yes. 2d8.
Oh, it's 2d8.
for
Oh,
treatment.
sorry.
Wow.
I thought
Ooh,
it was
so you can heal us
2d8.
2d8.
If
Yeah.
you roll 2d8, you roll 2d8, and I'll medicine myself.
Yep.
And just sort of say we got that
Oh,
right.
medicine myself.
Cool.
Try to get the numbers.
All right.
That was a kingly
Hey,
amount.
I only needed 4 left, so. Thank you, both of you. Mm-hmm. Oh, wait, actually. hang on.
So on the slow barge across the river, you manage to bind up and bandage all of your wounds, and you soon find yourself in good shape. The barge captain, as you're pulling in, is like, "Oh, you arrived at a fortunate day, though. Today's the start of the games for this week."
Oh.
Oh, Timon's games. They're gladiatorial games. It's always a spectacle to behold.
I've never seen
It
that.
must provide a lot of meat for the city as well.
I don't think they eat the losers, unless
Oh.
they have a fight against a giant boar or something. But normally it's sort of person
like a
against
waste.
person. It's more
No, they sometimes have animal and beast fights. Yeah. But yeah, the games happen every week. That's how common they are in Tymon, and they usually are 2 or 3 day affairs every week.
So, okay, that's a lot of fighting.
Are the combatants
We see a lot.
willing
of
participants in the gladiatorial
Are you talking to
events?
the barge captain?
But I'm just curious, like whether or not you know, or the barge captain, or
might
whoever.
Yeah, you've been to Tymon a few times. It's a mix of you don't really fully understand how it works, but you know that this culture reveres gladiators quite a bit, and in fact, gladiators once they have won enough fights, get special like citizenship status and like are treated very, very, very well. But whether or not all of the participants are willing, you're pretty sure that's not the case. That there are some that are forced to fight, but you're not entirely sure why. You haven't spent too much time investigating it.
I'll relay that.
Okay.
I'm betting the animal fights are probably not willing on either part.
Yeah. Hey, Tiger, would you like to put your mark here, and then you can go fight in the arena? Yeah. So yeah.
This place sounds as savage as a swamp. Little Eruxy saying there.
Good to know.
So you make your way to the dock. The barge kind of pulls up at the dock, and the captain says, "Well, good luck." He says, "I'm sorry to be such a bearer of bad news, and hopefully this day finds you with a better end than its beginning."
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Captain.
So you're able to offload the wagon, and I'm assuming the cub is in the back of the wagon.
Yeah.
All right.
Is that something that, like, if people saw us with a owlbear cub, that would be a problem?
It might be. People have weird and unusual pets in the world, but until it's more trained and well behaved, yeah, that might be a problem. And certainly, if it, grows up, that's going to be a bit of a challenge.
Good luck with that.
We'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
Yeah, that's going to be a bit more of a, hey, we're here in town with our ferocious people-eating monster. It's right there.
And an owlbear.
Yeah, I was gonna say. To be fair, I've murdered a lot more than this thing has.
Yes.
The only thing it's
Yeah.
murdered so far is people's feelings.
That's true.
And some ham.
And a fair amount of ham.
I mean, the ham was already dead, but,
I did try to eat your fingers, but
that was cute.
it was.
So it doesn't count.
It's just getting a taste for human blood. All right.
Gnome
or for
blood.
gnome blood in this case.
It's extra tasty.
Tastes like fruit punch.
Yeah, obviously.
Tastes like fruit
I
punch.
just
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, that makes
That's
sense.
canon now.
It depends on the color of their hair, like blue raspberry, fruit punch,
Yeah, no, that's fair.
green apple.
All right, so you are able to offload on the boat and make your way into the town. Even from the dock, you can see the large arena. It is a coliseum in the center of town. It is looking at the skyline of Tymon, and Tymon is not a huge community, by the way. Throne Step was a bigger town by quite a bit. It's not the biggest of metropolises, but its skyline is dominated by two things. One is some large, like, palace fortress building on one side of town, and directly across from that is this giant arena.
Okay. Well, my friends, I know that Mother Olinari sort of tasked me with getting you out of Ras Maran, but I feel that I cannot go back there for some time. So, if it is amenable to all of you, I'd like to help you out a bit more, if with some of your more serious problems, and we may use the wagon to get around a bit, and who knows where fortune may take us. So, if you don't mind, I will accompany you for a bit more.
Now get out.
Fair enough. Goodbye. I had to ask.
You would be a welcomed addition.
Of course, yes.
Thank you, Zal. Thank you.
It's helped us in some very dire situations
Yes,
already.
and we can sort of ask around here, Timon. Is there a knights, last wall knights outposts here? What was I can't remember the group name that you are wanting to look for.
Shoot.
Do you have a society?
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead and roll me
I'll
society.
check my society. That's a 19.
19. The last time you were in town, yeah, you're casting your mind back to the last time you were here in Tymon, and yeah, you're pretty sure on the other side of town, there is it's not an outpost, it's more like a recruitment center,
Okay.
right? Because Tymon is filled with gladiators, and when those gladiators wash out or want to retire, many of them join the Last Wall military. They can use their skills there, and they can earn, steady pay and have a future for themselves that doesn't involve fighting to the death on a weekly basis.
Necessarily.
Until the
Now that might
gets
be
out.
different.
Yeah, well, these days that seems like a worse proposition, but then it seemed like a pretty good deal.
Makes sense.
So they have a recruitment station that's kind of on the other side of town near the arena.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll let everyone know that we can speak with the Last Wall Knights over at their recruitment station, where we can get some accommodations or maybe a bit of a spot of lunch beforehand. Up to you. I don't know what time of day is it actually.
It's by this time of day, it's like early afternoon.
Yeah,
There are a number of inns and places to stay in town. You can go kind of wealthy, you can go inexpensive on that, depending on what you feel like. With this town having so many visitors due to the games, there's excuse me. There's plenty of places to stay.
Cool.
Last time we skimped on lodging didn't end up very well.
Yeah.
So
But I don't feel like we should also blow all of our
No.
money on place to stay, so maybe like somewhere moderate.
okay.
And we wouldn't have met Sev if we didn't
That's
go there.
true.
That's very,
Very
true.
true.
Yep.
And she's here too.
Yeah.
It's here too.
I push her.
She's like, oh, hello.
Should we go? Didn't he mention that the knights were packing up though?
Yeah,
go
we should
talk to them right
definitely
away?
do that first.
All right, we'll trundle through the city in the wagon over there to
Okay.
the, and I might do a bit of promotion for.
Sure. Yeah,
know,
might as well.
Professor Thorn's
Might as well. Yeah, I mean,
traveling
the gladiators
apothecarian.
certainly need
Yeah.
a lot of your
Right.
assistance.
So perhaps
Yeah.
sort of like check me
Performance
by the front gate
enhancers.
later tomorrow while I'll be selling my fabulous goods.
All right, so you begin to trundle your way through town, and you quickly come to realize that all of the all of the businesses and whatnot are owned by like ex-gladiators. It's all like scarred, muscle-bound men and women who run the businesses in town. And most of them look retired, right? But not all of them. But it is odd. Like every shopkeep is kind of buff and built. Some of them look well past their prime. Like they gave it up a few years back. But it is a little jarring because it seems like that's who owns most of the businesses here.
Tell the truth. Was Timon created to stop those players who like to just beat up every shopkeep? Steal their stuff.
No, I'm a gladiator.
It's funny. I think that this city was originally written by Lisa.
Nice.
Yeah. This was
man.
written in the River Kingdom sourcebook, which we had a whole bunch of authors for.
That's
So
right, yeah.
anyway,
Just picturing someone being like, "Want to buy some flowers?"
no,
not sure.
no, I'm good.
I am the manager.
Can I speak to the manager? Yeah, no, that question suddenly has a lot of gravity to
Yeah.
it.
Oh boy. Anyway.
So,
It's really buff.
you make your way through the town, and you kind of get to the center. And as I said, there's like the palace, and then there's the arena. And you have to get on the other side of the line between those two. And the line between those two is like a big avenue. And when you arrive, there's like a parade going on. So you can't exactly cross right at the moment. You have to kind of stop and watch the parade as it passes because it's blocking the street. And as you're standing there, there's like riding various beasts, mostly horses and stuff, but occasionally something more exotic, are gladiators as they make their way toward the arena. And they appear to be at the front of this parade procession. So you see like big hulking half-orcs carrying wicked-looking axes and, buff elfin, warrior women, riding. One of them's riding like a tamed lion, and she's making her way towards it, and she has like a pair of like thin razor-like blades that she's kind of like spinning overhead as she marches her way down there, and just a parade of like gladiators. Yeah. They're just like of all types and sorts, and people are pointing, and you see people like running to talk to like odds makers. Like there's people who are taking bets and gambles already, even though they're not at the arena yet, about who will arrive victorious this weekend. And so it's kind of a festival atmosphere right now. There's all of the shops along this avenue are open. They're serving drinks. They're serving food. They're selling like there are a lot of people selling like colored pinions, little flags for folks to wave, and it's clear that the gladiators are kind of color coded to each flag. So it's kind of a festival atmosphere.
Very nice.
That's fun.
I'll lean over to the sort of off the front of the wagon and just sort of say there, to someone standing right there and say, who's favored to win this weekend? In your opinion, my friend.
Oh, I have my money on Sara, the woman on the line. It's bound to be her week.
Yes.
Yes. No,
she looks quite intimidating.
Yes, her chief rival is out this week. He was too badly wounded in his champion bout last week, so I think this is her week.
Well, good luck to you then.
No, he's kind of clutching his white flag and
Right.
moving forward.
Okay. Well, we'll watch. Unless anyone has anything else they want to do, we can watch this parade
It's
go
kind
by.
of a grand spectacle.
Yeah. Take a moment to like forget
they're-
our troubles.
They're really forcing
Yeah, I don't think
stereotypes.
that's
I'm gonna partake in food and drink. I think after being so relieved from being out of Ras Maran, be like,
There you go,
yay,
yeah.
relax and party a little bit.
Get some decent kebabs.
There you go.
What, you didn't like the last one?
Well, they're okay. Just the after effect.
I'm impressed you're willing to try again.
Yeah.
Zell will always eat. Always try meat again.
So yeah, there's people selling meat on sticks and like bread pastries and all sorts of delectable food and drink is yours to be had for just a few copper or a silver.
Karina's just gonna sit on the back of the wagon and kind of look grumpy at the crowd.
Resting
All right.
This place is full of death. You don't like
A
it?
little bit more than usual.
Okay.
Oh, man.
Well, yeah, I guess that makes sense. It's possible that your entire family just died. So,
Yeah.
you know.
Cheery times.
Yeah.
Your family's probably as strong as you. I think they're okay.
Yeah, I'm sure they stood up to the Whispering Tyrant if that happened.
Well, we're able to defensively withdraw.
You want a pastry?
Sure.
Your family was killed by a lich. Do you want a pastry?
Well, that's all I can really
No,
do.
it's fair. Yeah.
Allegedly, because we don't know for sure
You
yet.
know, yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's
I will
absolutely
share my
fair.
food and drink with you.
Where do you think they would go if they did flee?
I mean, I honestly don't know. Depends on where everybody else is fleeing to. And if
Zell
there
looks
was
like
time
he's
to flee.
mulling that over as he slowly pulls some meat off of his stick. I see.
That makes it sound like you're gonna eat her family.
No. It might
That's
look
the
like
biggest
that.
honor an
Are they?
Eruxi can give is
Yeah.
I'm willing to eat your family.
They won't be risen as undead if I eat them. No, he doesn't. But he does look like he's
but
mulling something
now the
over.
possibility of her family coming back as undead is now in Karina's head. So, thank you.
Oh, that would be like the worst, too.
yeah, it would be the
no.
worst. Worse than
I don't
all
even
of her
need to do
family
anything.
died.
I just sit back and let the four of you invent your own torture.
We're really good at comforting.
Yeah.
So it's decided we take on the Whispering Tyrant.
Let's go.
So the parade is going.
Why do all my groups keep doing this? Anyway, so the parade continues, and after the gladiators comes the beasts, and there's only 3 wagons filled with beasts. The first one has a gigantic scorpion in it. And it is in its cage, kind of clicking at the bars, and anytime a handler comes too close, its tail kind of tries to dart between the bars, and it can't. It's too, like, the bulb of the tail is too wide, and it just, like, hits the bars, and, like, you hear a dung, and the handler kind of pokes at it with a spear, and it just kind of... In the cage behind that, there are a pair of kind of pacing tigers that are just kind of pacing through this cage, snarling at folks as they make their way past. They look like they've been here a bit. They are scarred and look like they've been beat up a bit. And then in the final cage that's making its way in this part of the parade, sitting there in kind of broken, battered armor that looks like it was taken from other, like, normal-sized gladiators and just kind of stitched on, is this giant green hulking humanoid that must be like 9 feet tall. It's kind of crouching in the cage, just sitting there, and across its lap is this giant axe. And it's just like, it has this horribly underslung jaw with fangs coming up out of it. It's just like, it's this big, giant, green, wart and hair-covered beast.
Is it wearing like purple shorts?
No, it is not wearing purple shorts. But I mean, yeah, it is large and green and has like giant, thick yellowed fingernails, and is just like sitting there and just kind of.
My money's on that one.
And it's in a cage.
Yeah.
What kind of check would it be to know what it is?
I would give you a I would say a knowledge nature might identify it if you got that, or you know, a society
nature
might figure it out too.
I'm in society.
How about 22 nature checks?
Yeah, looking at that thing, you think that might be a troll?
I think it's a troll. I think.
You think you're not 100% sure. You don't. You're looking at it and you're like, that's no ordinary just like beast.
Right.
I mean, it's clearly wearing armor and has weapons and stuff. Might be a troll.
I feel slightly less bad for it now.
Slightly. That's good.
It's just trying to survive.
I look so depressed.
It's in a cage.
It looks like it can't stand up in the cage. The cage is too short for it, and it's too big.
That's fair if he's 9 feet tall.
Yeah.
Okay.
Seems very unfair to the tigers. Like, I doubt they're fighting in a jungle or a savannah.
But
Grow more plants in your
Yeah.
arena so that
Sun
they may
bear.
fight in them.
have a bit more
I mean, really, all
camouflage,
you
yeah.
need is a druid to come in, like right before a fight, and grow some jungle
So
for
you
them.
have quite the future here.
Yeah, I was gonna say. It sounds like you could.
No, this caged animals
Theme
is bad.
Katina's like, no,
Jungle night.
no, I don't want to do that. But if they just did this, it would be so much more entertaining.
So,
Katina or Carina?
Kareem, yes. Oh my God, now you got me so confused.
Severina's here as well. Sev, by the way, has just been kind of passively taking all of this in, and looked truly concerned when the captain was talking about Last Wall. She was staring very raptly, but has said nothing since then. As the last of the beast wagons walk by, then you get all of the newbie gladiators, and these are folks that are just walking on their own 2 feet, and they look like people, and they're like, I mean, they're buff, they're built, they got weapons, but they look like the fresh meat here. They're wearing patched up armor that looks like it might be borrowed. Some of them look like they just decided, you know what, I'm going to try my fate and fortune in the arena.
Boy.
You can tell they're the newbies too because they were behind all the people on mounts.
Yeah.
So they are not having a pleasant march.
Oh.
Yeah, you didn't exactly see like a scooper.
Although I feel like if you are gonna be willing to go be a gladiator after right after the troll cart, then
Yeah. Props to your
speaks to some bravery there.
Or desperation.
Or something.
Or
an
both.
overestimation of your ability.
Oh, that's true too. Oh,
Blind
now I feel bad
optimism.
about that.
Hooray.
Thanks.
They might do well.
So
for that.
after the crowd of fresh-faced newbie gladiators, there is the end of the parade, and at the end of the parade you see what must be town guard. They're all dressed in kind of uniform, and it looks like a gladiator uniform, but it also kind of looks like it's way too. They're all wearing the same thing, right?
Gladiator police.
It kind of but it's probably just the town
GP.
guard. Like you've seen, now that you see these folk together, you're like, oh, I've seen a handful of these, and you've actually been here before. You know this is the town guard, and they're escorting one final wagon that is a cage that has people in it. And you hear the crowd go, boo, boo, and some of them start throwing fruit.
Yeah, how dare you cage people? I yell that out.
You yell that out, and one of the people next to you goes, bah, they're hardly people. That's the criminals that are going to the arena to fight.
Of course. Boo.
Those who have committed crimes against the bloodied.
The bloodied?
Yeah, one of the shopkeepers is standing next to you and goes, yes, they deserve nothing but contempt.
What are the bloodied?
Oh, the bloodied. Oh, you must be new. The bloodied, those were the ones at the front. They are the premier gladiators of Tymon. They have survived and conquered in at least 10 bouts. They are not to be trifled with. They are powerful gladiators. And any who commits a crime against them, well, you can see their fate.
Rightfully so.
And it's just people, right? It's literally just a cart full of people.
What kind of crimes did they do?
Of all sorts of crimes. Committing a crime against the bloodied carries a terrible penalty. You must go into the arena and fight a horrible beast or a powerful gladiator. Those who survive are committed of their crime. Those who fail, well, the beasts must eat. The innkeep looks at you.
We're
Zell
talking
nods
of
knowingly.
not nothing so venal as like looking at a bloody the wrong way or stepping on a toe. Or something.
The merchant looks at you and goes, no, of course not. I myself work for one of the champions. They are the only ones who are allowed to own businesses in this city. The bloodied own all of the businesses, and it is one of the rewards for being a successful gladiator. But no. We're talking about thievery or assault or attempting some sort of betrayal against them before a match.
I see.
Only serious crimes. We may believe in gladiatorial sport for blood and profit, but we are not monsters.
No, of course not. Of course not.
Can the three of you, and only the three of you, not you. Give me a perception check.
Take that.
Oh, great.
Alchemists
That's
just
great.
don't understand.
It's gonna be an 8.
Uh-oh.
Oh,
That's a poor roll.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Oh.
4.
A 10.
There you go.
Did you say 24?
Nat 20.
So the two of you are kind of staring at this merchant aghast, and you did as well, but then you look back to the cage with kind of like, oh.
Yeah.
And in the cage, you recognize someone.
What? Ooh.
Really channeling that owlbear.
Standing in the back of the cage, holding the bars, is a man you haven't seen in weeks. The last you saw him was before the barge was on fire. Father, you remember the small family
Oh,
that
yeah,
was
with
on the
irritating
boat?
children.
with the children?
Yeah.
The father, Oldrew, I don't remember if you got his name or not.
I forgot it.
You would have heard it while you were on
Yeah,
the boat,
yeah.
but it's been weeks now. Is in the cage.
Oh my gosh. Look, it's Oldrew. Do you
think-
remember him?
Oh, yeah. To think
Vaguely.
he would commit a crime against the bloodied.
I thought he was better than that.
Do you know that man?
Yeah. He was on our ship before it burned
Oh.
and sank.
Well,
I had no
His
idea
kids
what
were
happened
all
to him.
over the place.
Yeah, I hope his
Where
kids
are
are
they?
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I yell at him? Like, is he close enough?
Maybe if we figure out where they're storing them, we can sneak in there
Are
and
they
talk to them.
storing the
I
children?
think by
No, not the
storing you
children.
mean holding prisoner.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Storing. just
Potato
just as
potato.
if he were a crate.
Yeah.
put him on a shelf.
Child storage.
So confused by how humans store things. Sometimes they put people on things. Sometimes they put food. Sometimes
It is
bowl.
very confusing.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, so the two kids, one was named Yara, and one was named Erdrin.
Yes.
And they were running all over the boat, and Erdrin stole Yara's journal, if you
Yeah,
recall
yeah,
that. Yeah.
Little.
You're like, I don't know what these things.
What's happening?
There are people, all right. Yeah, sure.
Watch that episode.
Yeah.
Professor Thorn doesn't know a thing.
The professor has vague memories. He doesn't know where they came from. Yeah, I'm gonna like try and wave to him and yell at him and.
He's just kind of sitting there looking out, like with a look of kind of despair.
Yeah.
And he's been hit and pelted
Yeah.
with like rotten fruit and stuff.
Yeah.
And he kind of looks out at you, and he sees you, and he kind of tilts his head, and then he's hit with a tomato, and he's like,
Oh.
and he looks back, and he's like, and he kind of looks at you, just kind of desperately, and then the wagon continues rolling past.
I asked the merchant near us, I'm like, do you know where they hold these prisoners before the bout? Is there like a place that they're on display?
Oh yes, no. Would you like to hear? And he's like, I have more rotten fruit to sell. If you want to go
yes.
pelt them with some. Yes, no. They're kept at the arena, down in the cages, down around the base of the arena. You can go and pelt fruit at them and yell at them and scream at them to your heart's content until they're taken to the arena for their judgment.
Sounds like a fantastic evening. Thank you.
Yes, I bring my kids there usually on the second fight night after they've weeded out some of the weak ones.
That's the smart way to do it.
Family entertainment at its best.
Family.
Yes.
Family.
It's family fun. Go throw
so wholesome.
fruit at the condemned.
The fruitening.
Joy
Okay.
and fun in Timon.
Well, we know where
But
they're
at
holding
least
them
it's
now.
not the
Yeah.
cult of Rasmir.
Every place is awful.
Everything is awful.
And the one that wasn't apparently is destroyed. So.
Yeah, so cool.
I have a sort of side question. The merchant mentioned that only that Bloodied can own businesses here. Since I've been here a couple times, can I legally sell things?
You can.
Okay.
So the way it works is
I don't want
Going
to get
in the
trouble.
crate.
so traveling merchants and things are welcome.
yeah.
You're not allowed to set up a permanent business
Okay.
establishment
Just wanted to
here
double-check that.
unless you are owned by a Bloodied or sponsored by a Bloodied.
Cool.
You've never run afoul of that.
Yeah,
you
okay, yeah,
they basically when you first came into town, they're like, you're not setting up shop, right?
No,
I mean, you
I'll have a wagon.
can be here for a day or two, but then you have to move along.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
They don't
That's
care.
generally what happens.
Need that bloodied sponsorship, the old BS.
Yes.
I see what you did there.
Yeah. Do you want to go talk to your friend?
Not until after we talk to the knights.
Yeah.
I
Let's
feel
go
like
talk
that's
to the
the
knights.
priority.
Try and
Indeed.
find him maybe before
He's
the
not going
battle
anywhere.
starts.
Hopefully not.
It's fair.
We'll try to catch him before the fights.
Yeah, we're
Just in
worried
case.
because when last we saw him, he was with his 2 children,
his
so we're not
children.
sure where they're at.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I would like to see if they're okay.
Yes,
But
indeed.
we'll have to ask the knights first what's going on with all the other catastrophes. So.
Yeah.
Especially this key.
Yeah, I feel like that's kind of a priority over the random person we saw on the boat.
Yeah.
Terrific.
I like
Harsh.
him, but meh.
Well,
All right, let's go.
All right. So that was the end of the parade. The parade is still marching its way to the arena for the opening ceremonies for the week and the initial bouts. You don't really know how that schedules out. You know, it usually takes at least 2 days, sometimes 3, depending on how many interesting fights they have. But it's usually like the weekend activity. Once that's gone, you're able to cross through and make your way through town. But you're not entirely sure where the place is. So give me a society check and we'll see if you
Sure.
can find it easily.
Oof, no, not with a natural one. I don't know where I am, everyone.
Help, I'm lost.
We're in Tymon, right? Okay.
Well, it takes a few hours
Okay.
instead of just like half an hour. It takes like an hour or 2. You get some bad instructions and end up kind of in the bad part of town. So by the time you do eventually find this place, it's now getting into later afternoon. And as that has proceeded, you've heard the drums and the horn blares of the opening ceremonies begin. So you've kind of missed those now. So there's that.
Maybe if we can ask a passerby, like, when do they usually have the criminals have their matches?
You ask a random passerby.
Yeah, or maybe like a
and it's
merchant.
like, yeah, a merchant's like, oh, you're looking to see justice done.
Of course.
The justice bouts are always done in the middle of the day, usually on the second day, and sometimes on the third. If they have someone particularly heinous, they'll save for the end.
Excellent.
Okay.
Terrific. So the recruitment center is...
Yeah, you eventually find it, and you make your way down. It's basically a side street, right near the arena, actually. So you end up winding your way right near the arena anyway. But it's not. There are barracks around the arena for where gladiators stay. These aren't the nicest ones. You're wagering the nicer ones are more like palatial training estates that are outside the city and stuff. But these are just like where like the schmoes train. And you even pass by some training yards where there's people sparring and trying to learn how to fight so they can be in the arena. And you're staring at them and you're like, those people are all going to die. Every once in a while, you'll see someone who's like clearly just trouncing everyone else because they've actually had proper training. And maybe they stand a chance, maybe they don't. But that's what Tymon's known for, training and forging arena combatants. So you make your way down one of these roads, and it's there that you find a small building. It's not a large building. It's basically a small one-story structure that has a large pair of banners out front with the symbol of Lastwall on them. But as you walk up, there is someone outside taking those down. There is a man who is in he's in like leathers and but they're nice and trim and well put together, and he's out there kind of running the banner down the pole.
Excuse me, my
shop.
friend. I'll march up, get off the horse and get off the wagon and march up there. And I say that, I have heard the news about what has happened in Lastwall, and you have my deepest condolences.
He kind of looks at you with kind of a haunted look. He's like, "What have you heard? Was there more news?"
No, just that Lastwall had fallen, and that the Whispering Tyrant had broken free. Is all of that true?
He looks at you. You'd want to speak to the lieutenant.
Yes.
I'm
And where's the lieutenant?
Inside packing up.
Okay, Karina's just gonna charge right ahead.
And do you mind if we? We've gone on in. My friends have a desperate need.
He looks at all of you and he's like, "Well, we're not really accepting more recruits
We're not
right now.
here to be recruited, and I mean, Karina's headed inside.
She's from Vigil, so we're trying to see what is happening.
God, I'm sorry."
She's gone already.
Yeah. All right. So you make your way inside, and inside there are a handful of soldiers, kind of packing up. Most of them are just in leather armor. You can see on their epaulets the symbol of Last Wall, and they're just kind of packing up. There's not many. There's like 4 or 5 total.
Sure.
But behind the desk is an elf who is going through paperwork and signing off some things, and he hands them to folk. And when you get to the door, somebody stops you and is like, "Why?" And you're like, "Oh, you want to speak to the lieutenant?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead." They seem like any protocol they once had, they don't really care about anymore. So they're like, "Yeah, go ahead." And it says, "Lieutenant, there's someone here to see you." And the lieutenant looks up and is like, "What can I help you with? What?" Sorry, we're awfully busy.
What's going on in Vigil? Are there any survivors? What's happened? We just heard this news, and I have family there.
Have a seat.
That's not good.
There isn't a lot I can tell you. I'm afraid much of it is still classified. But I can tell you.
Really? At this point, just spill it. Come on.
We received the recall, the rally and recall order. That order was never supposed to be given unless the worst had happened, and we're packing up to follow that order.
So you're gonna head into Last Wall?
No.
What do you mean recall order?
The rally order is the rally point for our troops should Last Wall fall. The order was never to return there. That is far too dangerous for us. The order was to return to rally in Absalom.
And then strike out.
It is the fallback place. It is the place where we knew we could gather and draw support from others. That was the plan. No one ever thought we would actually do it. He kind of looks at you and he's kind of picking at one of his ears, and he just has kind of a bit of a nervous twitch, and he's just like, it never should have been called for.
Yeah. Yikes.
Cell gauges.
I think Karina's just kind of doing
Karina's
these
reaction.
mental calculations of like, okay, so maybe if they survived, they'd be headed there. Maybe we could head there too. That's kind of where her head's going.
One of the privates come in and says, "Lieutenant Swift Thistle, I have a message." And he hands him the message, and you see a seal of Last Wall on, and he snaps the seal, and he kind of pops open the thing and looks at it, and he's sorry. It appears that the Watcher Lord may have survived. That is at least one piece of good news.
And any refugees that might have come out of Last Wall, will they be heading toward Absalom as well, or were they scattered to the winds?
He looks at you and says, I honestly don't know right now. These orders are for the soldiers. If there are any civilians who have survived and are escaping, they might go in any one of a number of directions, trying to get out as quickly as possible. But it doesn't look like it is. The orders that we received is that it is not the complete chaos. For Loomes, the port city is still functional, although people are fleeing and evacuating through it. So, but rumor has it that Gallows Spire collapsed, and with it, Vigil was destroyed. I'm afraid I don't know much more than that. There was apparently some sort of catastrophe, some sort of explosion, and Vigil was leveled. I can hardly believe it myself. I was trained there. He kind of...
Cell edges out the badge that he had from the night. And he's like, Do you want to ask him about this?
You can.
All right, I put it on the table. I'm like, do you know anything about this?
He looks at it and he picks it up and he's like, what is this?
It came off of one of your members who fell in battle versus undead.
He honestly looks baffled by it. He's like,
Wasn't there like a book or something that we were going to try and find?
There's a book that might have this.
he says, yes, there's... I can't tell you anything about it because I don't know what it is. We are just a recruitment station. I don't have the code book.
Who would?
Well, normally I would say that you should return to Lastwall. They will certainly know there, but
That was kind of the...
but that is no longer an option. Your best bet, well, to be honest, might be to accompany us. We are heading to the rally. There will certainly be senior leadership there who have the code book who will be able to identify this. I'm afraid, as an order of knights, there are things that are above my rank to know. I am a simple lieutenant. My job is to recruit gladiators to go serve. Seems pointless.
That sounds like a good plan.
We spoke of a Watcher Lord.
Well, the Watcher Lord Uthan would certainly know, but I think expecting a meeting with him is that it's not something even I could do. But there are undoubtedly other captains and generals who would be able to identify this, would know what order this is. There are orders within our ranks that are secretive, that have missions that not all of us are meant to know. It is to make sure things are safe in times of danger. So I'm afraid I don't know what this is, but we are packing up to make our way south, but it will take us yet another few days before we are ready to depart.
Well, my friends, well, what do you think? It must be your best chance of getting answers.
I think it's seems like the best way, and your family might have fled there too.
Yeah.
Yes.
My sister was a soldier, so if she survived, then she'd be headed there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dark tidings. Well, Lieutenant, thank you for your time.
He nods. You see him kind of tugging at his hair, and he just looks like he looks haggard, like he hasn't slept in days, and he's just kind of like, yes, well, all right, yes. So if you're planning on coming with us, we're leaving in probably about 2 days. We just need to finish packing up here.
Okay.
Shall we meet you here?
Yes, yes, that probably makes sense.
Okay. Well, we should quick go talk to that other guy because we don't know when he's gonna go battle, and probably should catch him before that.
Yeah.
I'll mix up a quick bit of snake oil and put it on the lieutenant's desk. So this should ease your pain for a bit here, invigorate you a little bit. No charge. Just think of it as a gift on these trying times.
He kind of looks at it and is like, all right. Kind of sets it to one side, and then you notice he opens up a drawer and gets out a bottle of wine and pours a goblet, pours that in, and is
Best
like,
way to take it.
It's too bad these gladiators are all about to kill each other, and they would be really useful versus the
Whispering Tyrant. Come on, gladiators, Timon, let's go fight the
Send
ancient.
in the gladiators.
Bring the parade.
Yeah.
Oh,
all right.
boy.
And I guess we'll head on out.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
So you leave there, and as I said, you're right near the arena, so you're able to make your way over there without too much trouble. And the arena itself is a large oval, and out on the base, on one side you can clearly see where the main avenue reaches it. That's where the main entrance is, and where people are pouring in to get their seats and stuff. But off on the sides, on one side you can see there's like built into the base of it, because that's underneath the seating, is like a lot of chambers and stuff, and some of it looks like it's training areas, some of it look like it's places for the gladiators to wait before their bout. Off to one side, and you have to kind of make your way halfway around it, you find cages. These aren't the beast cages, because those are probably too dangerous to let anyone approach, but there are the cages with the prisoners in it. And so you make your way off to one side, and there you see like half a dozen cages, and there's about 15 people or so in these cages, who are like holding out hands and asking for mercy from passersby. Most people just chuck fruit at them and stuff. They're not very nice to them, because these are all criminals. And it takes you a moment, but then you see poor Oldrew Hastings, the father from the barge.
I'll park the wagon in such a way that maybe so many people can't throw fruit in this general direction as we
Sure.
and I'll stand up on the wagon and maybe try to sell some stuff.
People are not total monsters. Like when passersby come up to talk to one of the prisoners, because sometimes their family will come and talk to them before they head into the arena. People don't throw fruit at their family and stuff, so they're not total monsters when visitors are up. But if somebody's being begging for water or food or something, they'll often give it to them by throwing it at them.
Well, I'll take this opportunity, because I don't know this guy, to maybe sell some stuff. So I'll be in the background.
Sure.
Trying to sell.
I just turned to
I'm not going to be emotionally involved in this.
Well, no part of it.
No. I just turned to my notes and saw Selvit Pathfinder, and I'm like, that's incorrect. He turned out not to be a Pathfinder.
Was he a Pathfinder? I don't think. I don't think he was. All right.
No. Anyway, sorry. I'm gonna run up and say, Older, do you remember us from the boat?
He goes, Oh, I'm amazed. You made it.
Barely.
I'm so
Barely.
surprised.
Are you? Well, you're not okay. Where are your children?
Oh, he kind of you see him kind of look across the road, and he kind of waves, and coming out between an alley is Yara and Erdrin.
Oh no.
And he's like, I didn't want them to come over because people are being so cruel. And he's like, Yara, please take care of Erdrin. And he's trying to tell her to take care of her. I may not. He's like, you're going to need to be very brave for Erdrin. And Yara's like, okay, Papa.
Oh my goodness.
What happened?
Yeah.
Oh.
Why are you?
What did you do?
Oh, no, it.
What crime are you supposed to have
We were
committed?
picked up in the water.
Okay.
When the barge sank. The next day, the three of us were clutched on a bit of flotsam. We found a crate that was big enough for us to float in, and we ended up floating in the water for over a day before a barge that was passing by picked us up. The merchant was headed here. Well, when we arrived, we traveled past Kyanin and up the Selen, and we arrived here, and that's when he put us off. We didn't have any coin. I lost my pack. Went down with the barge. I tried to find work when we arrived, but I didn't have much luck, and the little ones, they were going hungry. He kind of looks down at his shoes. I stole. I'm not proud of it, but I didn't know that the system of justice was so cruel.
Whoa.
And after stealing for over a week, I was caught.
My sympathy level just went down quite a bit.
I was just stealing food and water, bread.
Still just raises an eyebrow over a week. Like, I don't know if he has eyebrows, but
Oh yeah.
raises a ridge.
I tried to get work, and I managed to pick up a few odd job requests here and there, and that helped, but I just didn't have enough. And now, Red Fist will have his revenge.
Red Fist.
Well, sounds like you deserve it. No. We got other stuff to do.
Kids, your dad is terrible.
Yeah. Well, if you don't survive, we just met some knights of, soldiers who are headed down to Absalom. They could maybe take your children with them and keep them safe and bring them to a bigger city away from all the stuff happening with the Whispering Tyrant and all that.
He says, I'd appreciate that.
And hopefully you'll survive.
I don't.
Do we want to break him out?
No. I mean, this is like.
Zell just asked that straight. He's like, that puts us in danger, though.
I'm not gonna debate whether or not we should save him.
He's like, thank you, friends.
Yeah, Zell's like, come on, over here.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sidebar.
That really sucks. We're gonna just go have a chat real quick.
he looks at you and he's like, yes, well, as long as I know that they're taken care of, I guess I can face my fate.
Do you think we can augment him magically before the match? What are the rules?
I mean, I don't know. I just don't want to get too involved because we have a lot of other stuff going on. And in the grand scheme of things, this seems kind of like this random guy we met on the boat, not a big deal.
Also,
maybe.
if we broke him out, they might come after his kids, too.
Yeah, and us.
And us.
Oh, yeah, us.
Like, I just got done being a, like, escaped,
So
runaway.
Yara
I don't wanna
and
do it again.
Erdrin were talking to their father, but little Erdrin kind of comes up to you in particular.
Oh, God.
And he goes, I've been good.
Yeah.
Now you're his new dwarf
but your
mom.
Daddy wasn't.
You told me not to steal from my sister anymore, and I haven't.
Oh, wow, that's a funny lesson to...
Yeah.
Ouch.
It was a little kind of hypocritical there.
Is my dad going to be okay?
I don't know. How much practice does your dad have in hand-to-hand combat?
It's such a dwarf retort.
He looks at you with just kind of, I don't know. Mind you, this kid's like 5. Maybe 6.
Your dad's gonna fight some tigers.
He's also seen undead rise and been in a crate for a day.
Oh, he's had bad things happen to him.
Yeah, so
He's no
he's had a bad
longer a
life.
kid.
Yeah.
He's a man now.
Well, no
goes,
matter what, we'll make sure that you and your sister are taken good care of.
The bad man, Rannick Redfist, he's the one who made Daddy go do the fighting. He's bad.
Yeah, why is he bad?
He said he's gonna enjoy watching my dad get hurt.
Well, that is a bit sadistic.
Yeah, your dad did steal from him, and
I think your dad will fight bravely, but in the meantime, we need to go to Absalom.
just go.
Yeah,
In the meantime, we're just gonna go.
yeah. Like, so you like your dad's. This is where he's gonna be now, and he told us to take you with us.
If he
Says the
dies,
lizard person.
If he doesn't make it.
He looks at you with just kind of
say that to the kid.
abject horror. And that is where we are ending today's session. I want to thank you all for watching episode 19 of the Oblivion Oath. Tune in next week for our pre-recorded episode and more generous compassion towards young
We're
children.
available for babysitting.
Thank you for watching, everybody. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.